bit shy, I have to say. So it may be getting better and better all the time, or maybe worse and worse. So I'm going to talk about what I'm looking for. So I will show you a bit of my concepts, how I see life actually, and maybe a bit more technical things afterwards, just like that. So I start with something super kitsch, which is CeReNeM. CeReNeM is one of these brown, it's in the asteroid belt, okay. And they sent a probe called Down. And they took very nice pictures and so on, and the machine is kind of autonomous because it's far away and it's very complicated and so on. And the nice thing I really like is this notion of scale, as I said the other day. So if you zoom in, you can see more details and so on. And this is what I've tried, I have done now with this kind of visual things. So I'm a bit old style. Very often I'm doing things on paper, so I just print with a very good printer, high resolution. And you can see, like this is like a painting basically, okay? But actually, if you look closer, you can see that you have a lot of patterns, like millions of dots and things. And if you look even closer, I'm not sure if so you can see layers, overlapped layers, So if you look very close, you actually see that these are artifacts, you see. It's because I like transgression in a way. So I like hacking a bit of the things. So this picture has been done with a software which is called Rhino, and I will talk about it quickly at the end. It's a software dedicated for computational design, for architecture mostly. And this has become my main software alongside Max and Python, but that's not a software. And the rendering is done with ray tracing. So the idea, the simplest concept, the simplest way to explain it is I'm sending a photon against some material, and I just have a look at how I get the feedback, okay, the return. A bit like in acoustics, if you play with reverberation and so on. So there is a similarity with that, So, but in that case, this is a material thing. So, for instance, as far as I remember, that piece is made, so the pattern is made with Rhino, and these are just waves, overlapped waves, in 3 dimensions, and then I do the rendering. But the material is a kind of glass. It's made of glass, basically. And actually, you can see that it's a black and white picture, okay? If you look closer, it's not actually black and white. You can see very brownish details. I'm not sure if you can see them from here. But color is a big problem for me because it's too complicated. So I think I need another 10 years to learn what to do with color, how to deal with it. So maybe one solution would be to send my photons through the glass, and the glass is made of color, like blue. So the outcome of it, the ray tracing, would be something much more interesting than just using colors and objects, this kind of things. So the scale thing. So for instance, that's another piece, which is Japan. And this is a gift I gave to a place in Tokyo, which is called Tokyo Underside. And this is a kind of support after the earthquake, in 2011. I will not get into details, but if you look closer, you can see that you have another kind of layering with very minimalistic things, dots, okay, just dots. And you have some kind of rhythms, you see. The interesting thing in this kind of situation is here, if you read it, if you consider this as a score, you can look at it and you can read the patterns in the direction you want. which is not the case, not always the case with sound, okay? So this could be just a visual score, you know, like some people used to do in the 1980s with printers. This is another one called Caspar. It's inspired by Peter Hanke, the play from Peter Hanke. And if you look closer, you can see that you have very tiny patterns, okay? And they evaluate over space, not over time. That's another one, okay? So this is my starting point. So so I'm using rules, technically speaking, a bit like Game of Life things, you know. And I'm a big fan of Game of Life. That's one of them, for instance. But you see that I'm generating patterns around it. Like that's another one. And what I really love is the fact I'm using a very simple, simplistic grammar, and that simplistic grammar is spreading over space, and that's generating a complexity which you integrate with the eyes, although you don't really care about the rule itself. What you care about is what you receive from it, okay? But what I'm showing you now is actually, it's a video piece. So that's a preset I'm using for with Reactor. I just show you a quick example because there is sound in it. So let's show you that. That's a piece for 3 4K screens, but small ones, the smallest as possible, because I want people to look at it very close. You see? So you have 3 screens, but actually when I played it, the sound is directly connected. So I have 3 screens. You already see 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, it's changing. So now it looks like I have 6 screens. Okay. And there is no sound. It's a bit like some piano pieces, you know, where I don't really care so much about the thumb itself. I only care about the rhythm it generates. And now you see, I have 3 screens, okay? Okay, if I go a bit further, so these are many tiny grains. And the pitch you hear sometimes is just a kind of Hart effect. So it's like if I have very tiny things put one after the other. Okay, and I go a bit further. Okay. So that's one thing. So I'm just going to show you another piece which is slightly different, but it's very new, so I don't really have a good video with it. It's from 3 weeks ago, and it's a piece which happens in a specific space, like this one, which is an old electric plant, huge place. Like this, you have like 2 corridors, and they are like maybe 46 meters long actually, and 15 meters, 16 meters high. and the audience comes by boat. So they have a limited time, okay? So they come and they have an hour and a half, and then they have to leave. And to see this is an installation, and it's forcing them to have a timing. There is a beginning and an end, which is very good for an installation actually. I like this idea of having a form, even for installations. So this was forcing you for that. So the idea consists on having 2 video beamers, super powerful ones. Okay, they are 12,000 lumens, but you need that power for the space, you know. And speakers all the way like this, okay, super long. And the sound is doing this, a bit like what you just heard. But the interesting thing is I'm using the space as a resonance thing, okay? A bit like if I were using envelopes, you know, spatialization with envelopes, and I send the sounds against the wall, and the return makes something interesting. So wherever you are, you can hear a different thing. Although the sound, the rhythm is the same, if you move, you hear some slight differences. Just a small detail. So this is the audience, and the nice thing is they are actually, you can see here that I'm using 2 circles hanged, not hanged but on feet, like this size. It's like plates. On one side it's black, on the other side it's a mirror. So you can see that the video beamer is here, and it's sending the light here, so you have a kind of, I'm sorry, again, rocket, you know, engine. But if you stay here, you will see the shadow, you stay under the shadow. Same for the guys who are there, okay? The interesting thing is because you have 2 things, you can play with it. You can have a counterpoint, whatever you want, horizontal, vertical, different rhythms.
Is that moving, that metal?
No, the metal doesn't move, so the audience doesn't move. They stay behind because it's so powerful around it. So they have to stay, and naturally they get aligned. So they hear the sound from the speaker where the speakers are, you see, like this. And the nice thing, this is something I didn't know, is if you step on the side, you are, there's too much light, but the nice thing is if somebody is in front of you, you can hide behind the person. So it creates interesting patterns, it's forcing the audience to stay at a specific place. Very nice. One detail also, the nice thing with generative music, without without playing it, is nobody knows it's me who did the piece. So I'm just walking around and I listen to what they say, and I hear, oh, it's so bad, or I hear, oh, it's very boring, or it's for young people, the pitch, you know, it's too high, or sometimes, oh my God. I don't know what that means, but I had it a few times. I'm very excited by this piece because it's new. So, like you see
You just said a negative thing. Did you hear some positive things?
I think the oh my God was
very
nice.
Positive.
Yes.
So it depends on the country and the culture.
It was in the US. That's why. Yeah.
Do you project any images, or is it just white light?
No, it moves on. I have a video I will show you. This is the audience staying behind. Okay. But this is just a piece as an example. I'm a messy guy, so I do lots of things and then I don't remember the story. So for instance, here you see that you have this white line here, and a few seconds later you have a black line here. So actually you have like a complex patterns on the top and on the bottom, and this line like this, because it's a video beamer, so it's super narrow, super thin. Like this, but you need to set the haze properly. That's a long story, very expensive. So video, yes. I just show you one pattern if I have it somewhere here. That's one of them, for instance. So I'm using jitter with shadows. So it's a nightmare in jitter, by the way, using shadows. And this is a kind of simulation, so very 1980s. You see, it looks like a screen, cathodic. Yes, very nice. But this is moving normally. I'm not gonna show it now. But even this tiny, because it's very powerful, these tiny lines here, the depth, you can see it. You know, it's very interesting. But what I wanted to tell you is mostly about this tiny detail, you know. So like you have moving things and very small things like that. How do I do, for instance, the rhythms? So
You didn't show us the movie.
yes.
Come on, don't famous
Let's
thing.
do it.
You're still artists.
Movie. Okay, it's done with my phone now, so. No, that's not the best one. Let me show you this one. Maybe this one. Sorry, these are tests because I haven't received the video yet and so on, and I hope they will do something cool because I want to play it.
So do I understand that this black dot in the middle is
It's a plate.
how much of the surface? Because we can see a lot of things outside of it
Yes, so sometimes
when you do the big thing.
when you do the big thing, you kind of forget about this.
Yes.
But when I do very narrow things, like the first video I just showed, it's like a coronagraph.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the sun and you have the circle. So it's very, again, a NASA thing now for geeks.
You and your space.
I love it. Very 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Very kitsch.
But they just go back to this. No, I wouldn't say kitsch. Go down the blue thing.
The blue one.
So
This is just.
what's happening in terms of what do we see there? We see the projector projecting on that black thing that is so powerful that it bounces back on the wall behind.
Well,
No, I was not clear.
No, you were
So,
not clear.
sorry.
okay.
This is just a plate like this
Yeah.
size. I'm projecting on it, but
Yeah.
also on the side. And I'm changing. You see, now it's on the right side. So
Okay.
everything is from the video. There is no bouncing.
Okay. But people look at the video projecting towards them,
Yes, like this.
and there's a mask that protects their eyesight, roughly.
Yes, and also because I want people to understand the moving patterns
Yeah.
and so on. With
So
the
there's a
sound.
mirror on the other side.
And the mirror, yes. The mirror, I only use it once when they arrive. This way they see the configuration, the setup, and then it starts. And
Okay.
when it starts, it's only this. But this is a test, so you can see I haven't hidden it.
Leave it there.
Huh?
Let us look at it for a second, please.
So the rays are generated. It's not natural.
So is it back projected then, or is it?
No, it's like you are here, you are the audience.
Yeah.
I'm the video beamer, I'm just sending it to you.
But how am I seeing that through the fog?
Yes, you see it through the fog.
Okay.
Yes. That's why.
That's the one thing.
Yes, and I make my own fog. For the past 3 pieces I've done, I use
How do you do that?
haze. I have to go to the pharmacy and buy glycerin.
Yeah.
So you're on some list.
Yes, because actually the amount, well now we go into details I didn't want, but it's very important.
Yeah.
So in that space, which is enormous, I buy like 300 pounds of glycerin
Is it the
with
top of the
water.
list?
Yeah.
No, it was very complicated for insurance,
Yeah,
and it's a
yeah.
big project.
Yeah.
So,
Terrorists as well.
huh?
Buying that much.
They think,
I'm sure that
yes.
they will think you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
Well,
the truth is, I prepare in advance. I ask, and
Yeah. You dilute them over 1 year.
then, yes.
That's one portion.
No, it takes a year, yes, to organize, and it's very complicated.
But
But
have you tried the DJ smoke machine, or is it you need the sound quality of the smoke?
say again, sorry.
The typical like smoke machine of a club.
It's a smoke machine from a club, only that.
But with
But you need
special,
to buy the
special.
right glycerin.
But it's your own mix.
With my own mix,
Yes.
yes.
Why? Why is that? I mean,
Because so there's a difference between fog and haze. So the fog is going down too quickly. Haze is also sometimes too thin. And with this kind of thing, I need to have something more thick, but that also stays in the air.
If
know.
you play in East Europe, you'll be fine because smoke is still the best smoke. You know?
Yes.
Cigarette smoke is still the best.
Yeah.
My brother cries. He's a lighting designer. He cries that he misses the smoke.
Mhm.
People smoking just for that.
The previous piece I did was a front load right building, and I wanted to use lasers, and they forbidden me for security reasons, so I had to use video beamers instead, and that's how I got the opportunity to use this huge machine, powerful machines, and to use it on that piece, that following piece.
Oh, good.
But okay, detail. So.
No, that's where we're here for that. Right?
So this is just the visual, okay? But now I wanted to show you how I generate. How do I generate these things? So actually, I'm using, for example,
Laisse 8 minutes.
combien? 8? Hein?
Ouais. Merde.
So I can get it. Normally, if I click option,
Yeah, option click or some.
yes, that's what I do. It doesn't want. Get it. This one. Reopen it. Okay, quickly. So I'm using Back. Okay, both for the visuals and the sound. So I'm very into tree structures, you know. So the idea it consists on having parentheses in nested lists, okay. And what is within one list, the duration of this part, for example, is what is before. Like here, the whole here. Let's say these are duration ratios. What is inside the parentheses here has a duration of 5. So the nice thing is whatever I do, I mean it's super basic now. The nice thing is whatever I do inside, it will always have the same duration. So it's very useful because this way I can have a pulsation if I want. And I can change the depth. Let's say now I'm using, you see now I'm changing the depth. So it's like I'm changing everything that is under here. If I'm here, I only change the thing at this depth, okay? So actually I did a whole library called JTOL. And with, for example, random machines. So it's a kind of humanizer, and I can, for example, generate some random durations within one list. Okay. I always keep this idea of list. Or let's say another one quick. A swing. So I have a kind of grid. Oh, okay, So I have a kind of grid and I fit on that grid, but a bit of random before, a bit of random after, you know, this kind of things. And for example, this one, just quickly, I show you one example. I hope it works. J'ai jusqu'à dans 6 minutes, c'est ça?
6 minutes. T'es chanceux?
Okay. Too slow. So that's what I'm doing. I spent forever, using this library. I'm trying to be cleaner inside. Okay. So the resolution is not. Okay. Just musical example, that's one. Okay, like for instance, super basic canons. So if I can change, we don't see anything. Anyway, I made many different tools using this tree structure based, okay? And as you noticed, I'm using very tiny grains and so on. I can play with this stuff with a very fast tempo because most of the time, very often I do it non-real time anyway. But sometimes when I want to generate it, I'm using this real time and alongside another system which is using Perlin noise, which is a kind of, I would say, brown noise, but instead of having one dimension, I have many. And this is the nice thing is when you have like let's say one dimension going up and the other one going down, there's always a relationship because it's a multi-dimensional noise. So it's good because you have, let's say, one parameter, filter, opening. The filter is opening while something else, the tempo, is going down, whatever. And what I really like is having this and permuting the parameters and find the best ones, the one that fit the best.
This library, you put it on the forum, will you?
Yes, this is on GitHub. I will send you the link soon. I mean later. I wanted to show you Rhino, which is a software I'm using a lot. But this one is very useful because this is how I generated my dots, for instance. And this can be, for instance, this can be spectral, if you want, something like that. And I'm a big fan of it. It's like a max patch, as you see, and you can change parameters and so on. But the nice thing is, it's not music-oriented, it's more architecture-oriented. So you have very straightforward soft algorithms inside, genetic algorithms, database, SQL, whatever, in order to generate forms. It's all about forms and patterns. That's the thing. Super powerful, very good. One last thing, quickly. Another piece, so this one is a IRCAM project. It's a music theater piece with robots. Like you have an head here, an arm here, another arm here. Okay. And a set, as you can see. Okay. Very theater, music theater. Okay. And what I did is I showed you yesterday, but I want to show you again today. Is this stuff. Okay, so how did I do that? This is a concatenative synthesis. So the idea is I take one voice and my corpus is the voice itself. And this way I get something that is very close but also very different. Very interesting to do that. So it's a kind of feedback into the concept of that. So the idea, because in that piece there were printers, 3D printers. So I tried to make the printer speak, or the actor speak like a printer, or the printer speak like a. Okay, so if I show you the left one.
System allows the operator to intervene and alter the system's operation. System access allows the operator to intervene and alter the system's operation.
Okay, it's done as Okay, so how did I do that? I'm using a lot actually. Audio Guide from Ben Hagbar, I don't know if you know. It's a concatenative synthesis software which is super good, very powerful. One of the originality of that software is the overlapping of layers. So instead of having, it's doing like for instance MFCCs, and from these MFCCs, the target, it will find different layers. I can say I want up to 6 voices, and it will find the first voices, and then the second, and it's the addition of all these MFCCs that will give you the target.
And that's a proper concatenation. That's what concatenative synthesis should be.